Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Tirso, I'm a creative director based in New York City. I've been reviewing a lot of applications lately for open positions on my team. It's interesting because I'm at the point in my career where I'm the one interviewing candidates, and I thought, would I actually hire my 23-year-old self? I dug through my email and found an application I sent to the Wall Street Journal. Mind you, there wasn't actually a position open. I was just cold emailing art directors and creative directors to see if there were any opportunities. I'm expecting a lot of cringe, but in theory, I did get a job eventually, so how bad could it be? I'm going to start with my resume because when I look at applications, that's the first thing that I go to. Okay, from a design standpoint, I can at least tell that I was using a grid, so we get bonus points for that. The type could use a little bit more contrast overall, but it does showcase a foundation in typography. At the top, why in the world do I have both my address and my phone number? The address in particular, I was living in Chicago at the time, but applying for jobs in New York City. This clearly tells them that I'm not a New York City local, and that actually does affect which candidates they consider. I have my education listed first, which doesn't really help anything since I don't have a network of alumni in New York City, but at a minimum, it tells me that I did study graphic design for 4 years. Moving down, this is horrendous styling for the dates, and as are those bullets. This is an example of trying too hard with type. Keep it simple. You just started, so there's not a lot you know, and a lot of the things you're going to learn on the job. I definitely didn't know how to write a resume because I simply listed the responsibilities I had on the job. What would make this stronger is if I listed my achievements. The big win here is that there's a lot of experience with publication design, and at a couple major publishers, that is a huge edge over other applicants. Let's move on to my skills. Correction, my imposter skills. Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, QuarkXPress, totally fine, not a problem. Certainly not Dreamweaver or CSS. I kid you not, I never got past the Hello World assignment in web design. My first website had my name and then a link to a PDF of my portfolio. This entire line is a lie. Man, I was a scammer back then. So here was a scam. During an interview, I would always say that I had a working knowledge of a particular skill. The reality was I was working on the knowledge part. In theory, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks from a job offer to starting a job. I thought that in those 2 to 3 weeks, I could gain some knowledge to make my statement true. This was a rough approach to job hunting. 0 out of 10, highly do not recommend. Clearly, I was trying to fill space on the resume. I listed here fluent in Ilocano, which is a dialect from the Philippines. Nobody speaks that, so I don't know how it helps anything. Basic fluency in Italian, this was true. I spoke enough Italian to get me by. In fact, my first few jobs in New York City, I had to call some local shops in Rome, Florence, and Venice, and Italian definitely got me through that. Overall, the resume is fine. It's at least enough for me to look at the portfolio. Oh my Lord and Taylor. There's like 10% credit for attempting a logo, but this is beyond questionable. I'm also curious why I didn't use it on the resume. That is a discrepancy, and I look for these things when reviewing applications. First project, it's fine. Clean work, better sense of typography. It at least communicates that I could handle a sidebar, which is typical work for a junior designer at a magazine. Yikes. This is all over the place. There's no grid, there's a lot of arrows going on, but it's also a project that I would expect from a designer just starting out. I don't think it helps the portfolio, but it doesn't hurt it either. Okay, this is impressive. Pages like these are a puzzle. It takes a lot of time to adjust and get everything to fit. I would probably have put this at the beginning. We have another page, but different content. I think it's nice to see the progression from month to month. It lets me know that the first layout wasn't a fluke. Oh, here's the cringe. Clearly this is student work. What's saving the project is the description. It shows that there's thinking behind the design. I'm just noticing this now that the descriptions on the right side are actually typeset. It has a fairly nice rag, so it's a big win to showcase the skills in typography. All right, another project. Tiny details here, the copy in the description, again, is typeset correctly, but the issue here is that the typeset in the layout is not. Perhaps there's been some growth in the project. With junior designers, I can't really expect perfection. I just want someone that has a foundation in design and is willing to learn. This project looks great. Clearly a lot of work went into it. Okay, very, very impressive. In the description on the right side, I mention a parallel with Thomas Cole's Course of Empire. It would be so rare for me to get an application like this today. These are the things that separate you from other designers and get your foot through the door. And then we have the last project. I have no idea why this is in here. I mean, I know what the project was about, but reviewing this as an employer, it's a little confusing. Even worse, it's the last project in the portfolio, and that's my final impression of your application. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I definitely did some questionable things back then, but they say fake it till you make it. We much prefer the phrase believe it till you achieve it, and I did achieve it. So would I actually hire myself as a designer? Not to be arrogant, which is a disclaimer from about to be arrogant, but yes, I would absolutely hire my 23-year-old self. So humble, but honestly, if I received an application like this today, I would definitely be impressed. Both the resume and the portfolio showed a good foundation of typography, except for that logo. There's also a strong background in publication design for the experience listed, and all of the projects have thought and ideas behind it. I went way back to see if I still have the email chain for this application. The art director did respond, and she said, "Thanks for sharing your portfolio. Very strong work. I'll keep you in mind for future projects. Are you located in Illinois? Fail with having my address on the resume. I told you it impacts who they consider." I'm pleasantly surprised that I really did take the job application process seriously, which I still do today, and ultimately it led to some success. I hope this gives you a baseline of the things that I'm looking at when reviewing an application. Was there anything surprising to you? Did you disagree with anything that I mentioned? Comment below and I'll see you next time.